Hey guys, in this session let us analyze the history of temporary tablespace usage by a particular session or sequel. We already seen that there are a couple of views which can be used to monitor the query or the session or the user which is consuming high temporary tablespace, right? So these are all real-time views, okay? When the SQL query consume temporary tablespace in real time, all these views will store the values and we can monitor it actively. Okay, both sort usage and tempsec usage are same views. Okay, they contain the same information. Okay, either of these views you can use to monitor the temporary tablespace. And $sort segment contains some additional statistics related to the temporary tablespace, like total extents, total blocks, used extents, freed extents, and all these information will be additionally stored. Okay, and we also have another view called temp space header. So this contains all the statistics related to the initialized blocks in the temporary tablespace. Okay, if there is a high temp consumption, in that case there will be multiple temporary extents allocated, right? So all those initialized extent information will be stored in $temp space header, but all the allocated extents will be stored in these three views. Okay, allocated extent information will be stored. And to check the history of the temporary tablespace usage, you can use dbi hist active sys history. Okay, so here you will be having a column called temp space allocated. Okay, so this is the column which gives you the history of the sorting on the temporary tablespace. Okay, so let us just execute a sort query. I think I don't have this table now. I would have deleted these tables, but let me execute anyway. Yeah, I still have these tables in my database. Now you can monitor these statistics in real time. Okay, what is the user which is consuming high temporary, and what is the SQL ID, and which table space the temporary space is consumed. Okay, like this you can check the details which you require as per your requirement. $tempsec usage. So it says that unable to extend temp segment by 128. I don't have sufficient space in my temporary table space. Let me execute a simple query. So I don't find any information in $tempsec usage. So let me use $sort usage. Yeah, so now you can see the temporary tablespace usage has been recorded in $tempsec usage. So let me also check in $sort usage. you can see both the views are containing the same information, right? So you can use either of these views. Okay, and once the query gets complete, this information will be erased. Okay, as we already seen in the illustration that smon cleans up all the temporary segments once the sorting is complete, right? So still sorting is going on for this query. So you can see it has thrown this error, right? So let me execute it again. Now again you can see the sorting operation, right? But once the error trigger, you can see that no rows selected, which means in this case smon cleans up all the temporary segments. Okay, so that is why we have this view called dba hist active sys history. Okay, for this you need license. Okay, so let me check the history of temp space allocated, and also I will check the SQL ID. So I will say where temp space allocated is not null. Okay, I'm just querying all the rows where the SQL ID has so here some of the SQL IDs may or may not be sorting any records. Okay, if the SQL ID is not sorting, then the temporary table space allocated will be null. Okay, so that's why I'm giving is not null. Okay, I just need all the SQL IDs which has sorted. Okay, now you can see all the SQL IDs which have sorted, only those records are printed, right? And you can also see the temp space allocated, right? So this value is printed in bytes. Okay, so what we can do is we can convert this to GB. You can see all the temp usage for the particular query, right? So this is how you can analyze the history of the temporary table space usage, and you can allocate temporary table space size accordingly. Okay, always keep double the amount of temporary table space consumed. Okay, so that's the proactive way of allocating temporary table space. Okay, here you can also check the maximum temporary table space consumed, so that you will get an idea. So we don't need the SQL ID, so that we can directly check the maximum temporary table space consumed. You can see almost 5 GB. Okay, so just give 10 GB. Okay, double the value of current temporary usage. Okay, so this is what the solution on analyzing the history of the temporary table space. Okay, so you can also check the size in DBA temp files. Our temporary table space max size is 5 GB, and one of the query has almost reached 5 GB. So that's why we got this error, right? Unable to extend temp segment by 128. So this query needs more sorting space. So that's why this query got failed. So just give double the value so that this query can be executed. Okay, but in real time in a production system, always keep minimum of 50 GB temporary table space. Okay, because in real time multiple sorting queries will be there, especially in data warehouse environment. Your sorting space should be very high. Okay, just analyze the temporary requirements based on the number of sorting queries that will be used by the particular application. Okay, if it is an OLTP, then minimum 50 GB of sorting space is required. Okay, in a real-time environment. And so if we check temp space header, so you can see the initialized temporary segments. Okay, so these many temporary segments are initialized, but they are not allocated for sorting. Okay, but we already said that sort usage, sort segment, and temp seg usage will be having the allocated extents. Okay, so that should be confusing. Okay, just make sure that you are calculating the correct value. Okay. So here also you can calculate the particular size by using this formula. Used blocks into default block size divided by 1048 576. I'm converting it to MB. And table space name from $sort segment. Since I have not used any sorting now, it shows 0 MB. Okay, used blocks are 0. So let me check the max used blocks so that I will get the value. Here you can see, right? Max used block is almost 5 GB. Okay, so in $sort segment you can check these additional columns. Okay, let me explain the summary. All these views store the information of temporary tablespace usage temporarily. Okay, once the sorting complete, all the information from these views will be removed immediately. Okay, so these views are only for real-time monitoring of the temporary tablespace usage. Okay, and if you want to analyze the history of your temporary tablespace usage, you can use DBA hist ActiveSys history, and this needs license. Okay, and all this information will be stored in the disk as per the retention. So if the retention is 7 days, this information will be retained for 7 days, and it will be removed once the retention is crossed. Okay, and coming to the architecture, so all these views will be stored in data dictionary. Okay, and the DBA hist ActiveSys history will be stored in the disk, which is the data file. Okay.